Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. I want to show you how I dealt with one of the craziest attorneys you'll ever find. My baby's mom's second attorney right here, Donald Wayne Ferrell of Seattle, Washington. I'm going to show you how he wrote to me and talked to me crazy, and I'll try and pack in some things that he did. One time he called me up from a blocked number and he called me butt effer, butt effer, butt effer, something I hadn't heard since I was in fourth grade, over and over again. And how I filed bar complaints and I was somewhat successful with them. And I actually took him to court a couple times for anti-harassment orders. I didn't win that, but I let him know, you're going to get checked, dude. I'm not going to sit around and tolerate your bullcrap. So let's check out this guy. I think he has a toupee and his nasty teeth. It looks like he hasn't brushed in 20 years, and how he used to lose cases on purpose for women clients, and they would go broke, and then he'd go, "Oh, you poor little thing, I'm sorry you lost. You come live with me for a while," with him and his wife, while you get back up on your feet. And if you want to do some work in my house, then you could pay off your bill by doing free secretary work or paralegal work for me in my home office. And he did that to 20 different women. And I have a lawsuit from it. See, I dug deep and found out some lady sued him for that. And she got her money back. And then she wrote me a declaration saying what he did. He basically sexually harassed his client, tried to talk her in and talk about how beautiful she was. She should come live with him. And she said, "Screw you." And she found out he did that to 20 other women clients. So, and then I'll show you how I proof that I've protested in his neighborhood outside of his house also. So let's take a look at what I did in dealing with this. You guys are scared to even tell an attorney like what the law says and write them a letter to put them in check. This is what I did. So there goes me and my cutie pie when she was a little girl, about 4. So there's Don Wayne Ferrell and his wife, and he's celebrating a luncheon after he accomplished 50 years, and they all these 50-year experience bar association, the WSBA, Washington State Bar Association. They had a 50-year honoring attorneys with 50 years experience, and they sat there and worshiped each other this luncheon. And then he took a picture, and you know, when me and him went back and forth, I said he looked like a white trash version of Herman Munster. There goes Herman Munster for those of you who don't know who he is. So let's look at some things that he. So this is his first letter to me. I got to block out the phone number because TikTok will delete a video if they show a phone. So here's his first letter to me. Mark Livis, the previous attorney, has me representing because you are extremely difficult and unpleasant, and I have ability to take on such people. So he's talking a bunch of smack. So then I sent him a fax, and instead of saying, "Dear Mr. Christensen," he says, "Jerk, I'm going to be unavailable. I will be officially unavailable on these dates." So he went to his Arizona, part-time Arizona home, and I will officially be unavailable for all this other stuff. But then he filed a motion during this time, and he was working in Seattle cases, which he normally does. Then he emails me and talks about, "I received your petition. It's pure garbage. You probably don't even have the idiocy to file the crud you served." His stuff is even stupid when he tries to be insulting. "It's all sheer bull feathers. You may not fax me anything." I faxed him, and he said, "Don't fax, call or write letters. You unethically go to a public facility to fax." Unethically? What is he talking about? So anyway, he comes off starting from the gate being a stupid, obnoxious jerk. Here in the email, "Your legal stupidity is showing again." Name calling right from the. So here he goes saying stuff like, "Anybody who represents himself as a fool, has a fool for a client, change your word fool to idiot. Yellow-bellied coward abuses women, you fit the bill. Your cue-balled bald head, your clock-stopping face, pot belly, flabby flesh." So he's obsessed with how I look and looking me up and down like a gay stalker. Then he said he's leaving Arizona today. He'll be in his office Monday. You can't do any action and all this other stuff. And I said, screw that. I've already filed a motion to. Here's a confidential information one. This is a year after I had full custody. He helped the mother write, "James is dangerous to women and children. That's why I shouldn't have to disclose my personal information, my baby's mom, Sedaris Wright. So I'm dangerous to women and children." She signed this under oath. So see, she signed, I declare under penalty of perjury. Certified under penalty of perjury is up there. It's blurred up. Okay, certified under penalty of perjury. "James is dangerous to women and children." So here's my first bar complaint against him. They ordered further investigation into Don Ferrell. See? Don Ferrell. Most of the time, they automatically dismiss a bar complaint and give you 30 days to appeal. They do that to every case. I wasn't a lazy, shiftless bum who quit on stuff that I do, so I filed an appeal. And this guy, why RPC 4.4 doesn't apply in requesting a response. So the dude had to respond and had to do all this inconvenient stuff, and so I made him work for it. And they concluded, oh, here we go. Here's a statement from him. James is dangerous to anyone who disagrees with him. And then he signs that on an oath. So he's testifying that I'm potentially going to be dangerous in the future if somebody disagrees with me. So this is 2003. So I got years and decades of not being violent toward everybody, and I'm going to be dangerous in the future because I disagree with somebody. So pathetic. It's ridiculous. So since the bar ordered an investigation, Ferrell does this bribe. I'm going to bring a civil rule motion to vacate, denying contempt. So here's proof that I won that they tried to do a contempt against me and they lost. I'm also going to bring an anti-harassment. You have an appeal in your anti-harassment action and a bar complaint. So I had an appeal when I lost a restraining order case against him. If this offer is all actions be left unlaunched or if pending dropped. So in this letter, this weirdo is saying, hey, you have a bar complaint against me and you have an appeal for a restraining order against me. If you drop that, I will not launch a restraining order case against you, and I will not try and go back and undo and vacate when Sid lost to you. So they tried to get a restraining order, a contempt against me. He got crushed. And he's saying, I'm going to go back and do it. Well, if I'm really harassing her, why would he drop that if I drop the bar complaint? Those are his misconduct as attorney is totally separate than her need for a restraining order. He's lying. This is a bribe, and he's desperate to stay out of the bar association. So this is me getting on the offensive. This is what I tell people to do. And everybody's scared. So I had a process server serve this guy, Ferrell, some paperwork. The process server wrote this affidavit, and it says that the wife answered the door, so that the wife that was in that picture behind here, Don Ferrell, DF, has an office in the back. Might not hear door. She goes and gets him. He yells at her, then yells at me. He's not accepting anything from James, threatens to sue me for perjury if I provide proof of service. So he took the paperwork from me and threw it in his recycling, and this guy felt harassed. That's also part of my bar complaint, the way he's talking to me and the way he's treating me. So I did some interrogatories, and here's the answers to some of the questions. James has questionable mental health, questionable mental health, questionable mental health. See, this is their answers to my interrogatories. Another answer to an interrogatory I have, I'm asking about a sister and her testimony. James's stupidity and mental imbalance are showing. So that's his answers. This is how harassing he is within court documents, which he should be sanctioned for. So you see it says letter to the bar. Here's his answer to the bar in the way he harassed me. Christensen is my enemy and the enemy of my client. So he explains that I always will be my client's adversary. So he makes it, I'm his personal enemy, so I get to talk to him crazy like that. And that was his So this dude goes on to say in his defense of my bar complaint that I had concern at the time and still do that that I'm abusive toward women. But Christensen is, as a total physical coward, would be no threat to any man, but I'm worried about women. So he's personally attacking me like that, this goofy looking weirdo. Then he says, and this is 3 years after I've had custody. Oh, it's 4 years after I got custody. James, you're full of bills, drivel, garbage. Your paperwork has nothing to do with parenting. You are psychologically impaired, and you're also a complete failure at your finances because I chose to live a poor lifestyle for my daughter's sake. So I'm going to probably have to do a part 2 because I didn't know I'd get into this much. But this is the ongoing stuff that this guy just constantly did for the fun of it. And a lot of attorneys told me, oh my God, that guy's not disbarred yet. I'm like, did you file a bar complaint against him? No, I figured the next one would. So even the attorneys are cowardly about not filing a bar complaint. So here's the Bar Association Office Disciplinary Counsel making their decision. So here's a paragraph you might want to pause if you care to read it. But he talks about how Ferrell threatened my process. So, Jonathan Burke, who's a little P-U-S-S-Y because he didn't do anything hardcore, Mr. Ferrell should be cautioned his conduct toward a process server and comply with his oath to abstain from offensive personalities, harassing process servers or anybody else. So that was my first bar complaint that works. I'll show you another one in part 2. There's going to be 2 parts to how I dealt with a crazy opposing. Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. It's part 2 of how I dealt with this opposing attorney. And this is just telling a little bit of the story. I was in and out of court with this guy from 2002 until about 2015. And he got me falsely thrown in jail for a little bit and kept me in jail. And I'm going to go to my second successful bar complaint against him right here. And then we'll get into stuff like how he loses cases on purpose, forces women clients to live with him. Everybody hates him. Opposing attorneys are scared of him. I wasn't scared because I'm not a biznatch like all these other attorneys. So let's take a look at, let's keep going with it. So there's my case number, 01-5-00795-6. You can go to King County, search case records and find it. So he says, 5 years ago, I began whining to the bar. It was dismissed, then I appealed because they dismiss every case. A committee made a grievous error by failing to grasp Christensen's heinous personality, and then thereby creating a mountainous file that resulted in another dismissal. Well, you saw how they found that he's making up stuff. You saw the document where they said that they should give him a private. Now, they did it privately. They didn't publish it on the bar's website. If you do something really bad, they publish it on your profile on the Bar Association website. It appears to me that Christensen's poisonous personality prevailed, and he has been searching out court files to find cases I was involved in to seek something to gripe about. His story about Chin is off the mark. He talks about Tamara Chin. I attended an arbitration where there no such incident occurred. I talk about how this dude called Asian attorney Tamara Chin a lying, or Tamara Chin, he called her a lying chink. And so let's take a look at what they can. So then he says before he signs it, Christensen's way is stupid, dishonest, and unethical. Everyone is not to see things the way he is. I'm stupid, dishonest, and unethical. The real truth is, as I see it, he has severe mental health problems. So I got full custody. He keeps losing to me. You see 2 Court of Appeals losses, and I'm the bad guy. So I did a child support modification. There's one time I got my daughter on state health insurance, and then he's talking to the state when I do my modification. He said, I just wanted to know what kind of deadbeat James is for the record, so that any amount due by him to the state for being a welfare bum who could be written in. So he calls me a deadbeat and a welfare bum because I got state insurance. So he just loves throwing his insults as he goes. So then here's a letter that he wrote. He's telling me I'm over 30, live with my mother. I live with my mom for a period of time. Actually, she's elderly and could use help, and I'm the backup guardian to my sister with Down syndrome who lives with her. And, she had a big empty house, so it just worked out for both of us for a little bit. James, you have never been able to obtain or retain a decent job. Most of my 20s and early on when I was raising my daughter without my baby's mom's help, without his client's help, I had 2 jobs. I need state help to take care of my daughter. I continue to lie to everyone and deceive myself. And you think you are not a complete deadbeat? You are delusional. So this guy gets his testicles off by doing this stuff. Here's a different processor I used, and he had such a horrible experience serving this guy that he wrote a letter for me. And so he was saying that he was serving him. This guy is Northwest Process Investigations. And so he said, Don got a little hostile. He started to say what a psychopath. Oh, he wrote to me. And how degrading, how stupid and ridiculous and crazy you were. In my 22 years, I thought I would warn you as this was not normal to me. Okay, so he called me up and he said, this was crazy. I've never seen anything like that. Would you like me to document it? And so he wrote a letter for me. So that's the second process server that got harassed by him. The Bar Association found that he was harassing the people and to me, and they admonished him. And here I'm doing another bar complaint about him calling an Asian attorney a lying C-word and some others. So here's the Bar Association's conclusion in July 2008. Right there, Jonathan Burke, who's a sissy who won't, really get. So here he's talking about they're basing this conclusion on interviewing the lawyer and her legal assistant. We're recommending the review committee dismiss it, but issue an advisory letter. So they admonished him privately for using racial slurs, which they should have. I mean, anybody get fired doing that in a lot of places. So then they made a finding that Ferrell called her an Asian American and lying chink, and that his remarks were racial undertones, and that she had said, "You didn't produce discovery." He became irate and started calling her names, and the paralegal was present when she initiated the call. He tries to claim that I already talked about that. This is a brand new allegation that I just found out. And the attorney, Tamara Chin, she didn't want to make this claim or complaint. So we believe that Ferrell should be cautioned about making racial slurs. So they're basically saying, Jonathan Burke of the Washington Bar Association basically says, you really shouldn't use racial slurs. You've been an attorney for 40 years, and we think that that you really shouldn't do this anymore. And check this out. I pointed out a judgment. This lady got $6,800 back in a malpractice suit. We don't believe that we can prove by clear preponderance of evidence that Ferrell violated any ethical rules. So they're basically saying, that's a malpractice suit. We only deal with ethical violations, and we don't see any ethical violations. That's insane. Check out this admission from Ferrell. I was doing discovery for a child support modification. I demanded bank statements. And then I talked to her and her sister. Her sister was the middleman for communication. And then it said they dismissed your, summarily rejected your offer. I can make that cost you. That is my goal. So he's intentionally trying to make it cost me, and he admits that in writing. So in part one of this video, I had said I had a previous bar complaint. He violated RPC 4.4. That's why you guys need to know the RPCs. February 7, 2003. So 4 years later, I got him admonished again for committing misconduct. So here's me protesting outside his house. It's the corner. That's not his house. His house is up there. But I go walking up and down this block, and my sign says psychotic, pervert, feral, racist. I think I said kidnapper on there on the other side. On the other side of the sign, I say that he forces women to live with. There's me turned around. I can't even read it, but there's a couple times I've been in his home. It's kind of blurry here, but I've been to his home a couple times. You can go on my YouTube channel and see me type in the word protest. You see me how I protest attorneys' offices and stuff like that. So here I am exposing him. Okay, so here goes my YouTube channel. Up here, you can see the magnifying glass. TikTok, if I show you, this shows my phone number. Let me move. So if I type in the word protest here, you can't do this on a phone. You can only do it on a computer, desktop, tablet. Then up here comes some of James's protests. I show you guys myself actually going out and protesting. Here's me protesting in front of my judge's home. Here's me protesting in front of a lawyer's office. And I think that's about it. I have a few videos showing me protesting elsewhere. So I also found this published case, Josen Hans. I Googled Ferrell and found this case where he was a no-show for this case in 1993. He showed up in court, or he filed the case in court. His client, the female, was left alone in court. He didn't show up. And then she lost. And then he appealed and spent thousands of dollars in appeal. And so he racked up attorney fees. And this is another one of his victims. I called her up and she was crying when she rehearsed this case. And then I found this case, Sherry Lancaster. Here's the case number in Seattle, King County Superior Court. She won $6,300 and more in a malpractice suit against Ferrell. Here's her complaint for legal malpractice. And then Sherry wrote a declaration for me in my own case. And she said how this dude intentionally lost stuff in the court case. And he harassed her, flirted with her. And then she found out in her lawsuit that, his approach, but also his approach toward female clients. And he'd done this to 20 other clients. He had done this to over 20 other women. What's crazy is that lady Sherry didn't even file a bar complaint. If everybody just filed bar complaints as this guy would have been disbarred. But see, all the stuff that I did, all it took was me getting off my rear and doing a little research and getting on the offensive.